Chapter 3, Part 2. So he appeared before Queen Isabella and her chief men and told them again of all his plans and desires. The queen and her advisers sat in a great room in that splendid Alhambra I have told you of. King Ferdinand was not there. He did not believe in Columbus and did not wish to let him have either money, ships, or sailors to lose in such a foolish way. But as Columbus stood before her and talked so earnestly about how he expected to find the Indies and Cathay and what he hoped to bring away from there, Queen Isabella listened and thought the plan worth trying. Then a singular thing happened. You would think if you wished for something very much that you would give up a good deal for the sake of getting it. Columbus had worked and waited for 17 years. He had never got what he wanted. He was always being disappointed, and yet, as he talked to the queen and told her what he wished to do, he said he must have so much as a reward for doing it that the queen and her chief men were simply amazed at his, well, what the boys today call cheek, that they would have nothing to do with him. "This man really is crazy," they said. "This poor Genoese sailor comes here without a thing except his very odd ideas and almost wants the earth as a reward." This is not exactly what they said, but it is what they meant. His few friends begged him to be more modest. "Do not ask so much," they said, "or you will get nothing." But Columbus was determined. "I have worked and waited all these years," he replied. "I know just what I can do and just how much I can do for the King and Queen of Spain. They must pay me what I ask and promise what I say, or I will go somewhere else." "Go then," said the Queen and her advisers, and Columbus turned his back on what seemed almost his last hope, mounted his mule, and rode away. Then something else happened. As Columbus rode off to find the French king, sick and tired of all his long and useless labor at the Spanish court, his few firm friends there saw that, unless they did something right away, all the glory and all the gain of this enterprise Columbus had taught them to believe in would be lost to Spain. So two of them, whose names were Santangel and Quintanilla, rushed into the queen's room and begged her, if she wished to become the greatest queen in Christendom, to call back this wandering sailor, agree to his terms, and profit by his labors. "What if he does ask a great deal?" they said. "He has spent his life thinking his plan out. No wonder he feels that he ought to have a good share of what he finds. What he asks is really small compared with what Spain will gain. The war with the Moors has cost you ever so much. Your money chests are empty. Columbus will fill them up. The people of Cathay are heathen. Columbus will help you make them Christian men. The Indies and Cathay are full of gold and jewels. Columbus will bring you home shiploads of treasures. Spain has conquered the Moors. Columbus will help you conquer Cathay." In fact, they talked to Queen Isabella so strongly and so earnestly that she, too, became excited over this chance for glory and riches that she had almost lost. "Quick! Send for Columbus! Call him back!" she said. "I agree to his terms. If King Ferdinand cannot or will not take the risk, I, the Queen, will do it all. Quick! Do not let the man get into France. After him! Bring him back!" And without delay, a royal messenger mounted on a swift horse was sent at full gallop to bring Columbus back. All this time, poor Columbus felt bad enough. Everything had gone wrong. Now he must go away into a new land and do it all over again. Kings and queens, he felt, were not to be depended upon. And he remembered a place in the Bible where it said, "Put not your trust in princes." Sad, solitary, and heavy-hearted, he jogged slowly along toward the mountains, wondering what the King of France would say to him, and whether it was really worth trying. Just as he was riding across the little bridge called the Bridge of Pinos, some 6 miles from Granada, he heard the quick hoofbeats of a horse behind him. It was a great spot for robbers, and Columbus felt of the little money he had in his traveling pouch, and wondered whether he must lose it all. The hoofbeats came nearer. Then a voice hailed him. "Turn back! Turn back!" the messenger cried out. "The queen bids you return to Granada. She grants you all you ask." Columbus hesitated. Ought he to trust this promise, he wondered? "Put not your trust in princes," the verse in the Bible had said. If I go back, I may only be put off and worried as I have been before. And yet, perhaps she means what she says. At any rate, I will go back and try once more. So on the little bridge of Pinos, he turned his mule around and rode back to Granada. And sure enough, when he saw Queen Isabella, she agreed to all that he asked. If he found Cathay, Columbus was to be made admiral for life of all the new seas and oceans into what he might sail. He was to be chief ruler of all the lands he might find. He was to keep 1/10 part of all the gold and jewels and treasures he should bring away, and was to have his say in all questions about the new lands. For his part, and this was because of the offer of his friend at Palos, Captain Pinzon, he agreed to pay 1/8 of all the expenses of this expedition and of all new enterprises, and was to have 1/8 of all the profits from them. So Columbus had his wish at last. The Queen's men figured up how much money they could let him have. They called him Don Christopher Columbus, Your Excellency, and Admiral, and at once he set about getting ready for his voyage.